There is a kind of strength that doesn't shout. It doesn't storm into the room demanding recognition. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't wait for validation. This kind of strength is born in the quiet places when you are alone with fears, your doubts, with the version of you no one else sees. It's in those moments when everything feels uncertain and yet you choose to keep going. That's the birthplace of inner fortitude. I have learned that real power is not about controlling others, it's about mastering yourself, your emotions, your reactions, your patterns. When everything around you feels chaotic, your ability to stay centered is a superpower. It's a bulletproof mindset. People often mistake silence for weaknesses, but let me tell you, the deepest, most unwavering power lies in the person who doesn't flinch when life gets hard. That is the person who's done the inner work. We don't get to this place overnight, it's a process, and often a painful one. You walk through heartbreak, failure, loss, even betrayal. You cry, you break, but you also rebuild. And each time you do, you place a new brick in the foundation of who you are becoming, a stronger, wiser, more grounded version of yourself. That is not a small thing, that is sacred work. Some of the most powerful lessons come dressed as devastation. You think you are being broken down, but you are actually being broken open. Life doesn't test you to punish you, it tests you to reveal who you are when everything is stripped away. And once you meet that version of yourself, the one who keeps standing when there is nothing left to lean on, you realize your strength was never outside of you. It was always there, waiting. A strong mind is not built on theory, it builds on choices. The choice to wake up one more time, the choice to speak up for yourself, the choice to walk away from what's no longer honor your worth. Every time you choose integrity over ego, resilience over resentment, you are building a kind of strength no one can give you and no one can take away. And the thing about inner strength is it doesn't need to be seen to be real. It shows up in how you treat people when no one is watching, in how you forgive, not for them, but to free yourself, in how you respond to life when it doesn't go your way. That's the quiet roar of mind, and that's weathered storms and still choose peace over chaos, growth over victimhood. There will be people who are uncomfortable with that kind of power. A calm, clear, unwavering mind can feel intimidating to those still ruled by fear and doubt. But that's not your burden to carry. Your strength is not a threat, it's a mirror. And not everyone is ready to face what they haven't yet cultivated within themselves. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to keep rising. So you walk forward, not louder but deeper, not proving but becoming. You begin to realize the world doesn't shape you shape you. Every book you read, every truth you speak, every time you sit in silence and choose peace over panic, you are doing the work. Not to impress, but to embody. Not to compete, but to complete yourself. That's where your intuition gets louder. That's where your vision gets clearer. When the distractions fall away, you begin to see just how much of your identity was entangled in the opinions, energy, and expectations of others. Isolation forces you to stop performing. There is no one to impress, no one to prove anything to, no one to keep the mask on for. And in that space, you begin to meet yourself. You start to notice what drains you and what fills you. You remember the dreams you silenced. You begin to heal the wounds you ignored. You learn how to sit with yourself and eventually how to love what you find in isolation. You strengthen the muscle of self reliance. You learn how to create your own pace, your own joy, your own sense of meaning. You stop waiting to be saved because you realize you have always been whole. You just need space to hear your own voice again. Not everyone will understand this part of your journey. They'll ask why you have pulled away, why you are so quiet, why you are not as available. But you are not disappearing, you are not deepening, you are not lost, you are being refined. Growth doesn't always look like blooming. Sometimes it looks like retreating so you can root more deeply. And the beauty is when you re emerge, because you will, you come back different. You speak with more intention, you walk with more peace. You stop chasing because you found clarity in the stillness. You become less reactive, more reflective, less driven by urgency, more guided by truth. What once felt like loneliness now feels like alignment. What once felt like separation now feels like sanctuary. What once felt like absence now feels like presence. Your own presence, finally whole, finally heard, finally home. You are not born to ask the world if it's okay to shine. You were not placed here to wait for applause before you move, before you speak, before you rise. The extraordinary in you doesn't need approval, it needs awakening. Too often we dim our brilliance to avoid making others uncomfortable. But your light was never meant to be filtered through someone else's expectations. There will always be people who don't understand your drive, who can't see your vision, who whisper that you are too much, too bold, too different. But those voices are not your compass. Your soul already knows where it is going. The moment you ask, do I have the right to dream this big? You hand your power to people who were never meant to hold it. Extraordinary doesn't wait for perfect time. It moves when the calling is loud. Even when the path is unclear, it says yes before the world is ready. And often the world is never ready for someone who refuses to play small. That's not your concern. Your job is to walk in alignment, not in agreement with others' expectations. We are taught to follow the rules, to blend in, to make ourselves digestible. But everything about the extraordinary defines that it stands when others sit. It speaks what others fear to say. It dreams out loud. It risks failures. It breaks molds. And in doing so, it creates space for others to do the same without asking anyone for permission. You don't need someone to anoint your gifts, they were already given. You don't need someone to validate your vision. If it lies in you, it's real enough. The question is not, am I allowed to be extraordinary? The question is, am I willing to stop hiding behind mediocrity just to feel accepted? People will try to measure your worth by the standard they were taught. But when you live from a deeper place, from purpose, from knowing, from calling, you step outside those measurements altogether. You stop shrinking to fit into rooms not built for your wingspans. You stop asking to be seen and start seeing yourself fully, boldly, entirely. Choosing to be extraordinary is not about ego, it's about responsibility. If you have been given a gift, a voice, a vision, then you have been asked to use it. Not later, not someday, now. The world doesn't need another person following the script. It needs someone brave enough to write their own. And if your path scares people, challenge them, shake them awake, that's not a sign to stop. That's a sign you are doing something worth noticing. That's a sign your extraordinary is no longer waiting to be invited. It's already here, already rising, already rewriting the rules. Because when it's true, it doesn't have to shout. It doesn't have to dominate the room. It doesn't need to be proved itself because it already knows who it is. When it's true, it doesn't have to shout. It doesn't need to dominate the room. It doesn't seek approval because it's already know who it is. Real power carries grace, not as weakness, but as wisdom. It's the presence that enters softly and shifts the entire atmosphere. It is firm without being forceful. It is clear without needing to crush. Grace and power is choosing compassion when you could choose control. It's knowing you could win the argument but choosing peace. Because peace is more valuable than being right. It's having the authority to impose but choosing instead to inspire. That kind of power doesn't come from a title or a spotlight, it comes from alignment with something deeper than ego. We live in a world that confuses loudness with leadership, but grace doesn't need to be loud to be lasting. When you embody grace in your power, you don't just lead, you elevate. You don't just achieve, you uplift. You don't just take up space, you create space for other to rise with you. Grace is not a passive, it's active, intentional, discerning. It means showing up with strength and softness at the same time. It means knowing when to speak and when silence carries more weight. It's the quiet authority of someone who has done the inner work, who has faced their own shadows and still choose to respond, not react. There is a power in restraint, in not using your influence to diminish, but to develop, in recognizing that being in a position of power is not about control, it's about stewardship. Grace reminds you that the higher you go, the more humility is required. That's real leadership is measured not by how many follow you, but how many you lift while leading. To carry grace, power, is to move with self respect and mutual respect. It means not abandoning your value for validation, it means honoring your voice without silencing other. It's the kind of presence that make people feel seen, not small. Because you don't need to dim others to shine. You shine because you are rooted. There is a kind of stillness in people who carry both grace and power. They don't chase approval because they have made peace with themselves. They don't need to remind you who they are because their action already speak. And in a world full of noise and posturing, their presence feel like truth. To lead with grace and power is to know that influence is not about being above other. It's about standing fully in your truth so that other feel safe to do the same.